Now, an exclusively First on 10 new video showing the chaotic moments as a crowd came under a hail of gunfire outside a banquet hall. A trio of gunmen unleashing 10 seconds of terror, killing 2 people and injuring 21 others.
Local 10's Janine Stanwood is live with what else that surveillance footage revealed. Janine.
That video is absolutely chilling, and we're also hearing from a Miami-Dade homicide detective who says that the shooters were inside a white SUV that actually circled this parking lot for about an hour before they eventually unloaded just so many bullets on a crowd right here outside of this hall. Terrifying video showing people outside the Mula Banquet Hall, and in seconds, a barrage of gunfire. Some run for cover, others on the ground and wounded. We've blurred some of their images. Cops say these are the shooters who had emerged heavily armed from a Nissan Pathfinder.
Oh my God!
Now, nearly 3 days later, people continue to grieve. 2 are dead. Desmond Owens and Clayton Dillard Jr, 21, were wounded. The Pathfinder was found ditched in a canal 9 miles east, and if you look closely at that new video, you'll see what appears to be the same SUV circling the parking lot before the shooters unleashed terror on those standing outside.
This was a terrifying event. We collected over 100 casings.
And in this new message posted to social media from Miami-Dade police, a homicide detective working the case says this was planned and targeted on the night of a local rapper's album release party.
The 3 unknown suspects were actually waiting in the Nissan Pathfinder in the parking lot prior to the shooting for approximately an hour.
Those that are out there committing gun violence, breaking the law, you're going to go to jail.
It was chaos. People scrambling, people on the floor, people yelling out people's names.
Did you feel yourself get hit by anything?
I thought my legs was gone, but the whole time I got shot 3 times in my back. So when I picked my head up, I tried to get my phone, so I crawled to my phone to call my mom and my dad, because that same night, it was my dad's birthday, so I at least wanted to tell him, like, I love you or anything. And then I remember me standing up, and when I stood up, that's when I felt it. That's when I'm like, something wrong with my arm. But I still didn't know at the time that I was shot in my back. It was just, and then my body felt so hot, and I took off my shoes, and it was this girl, I didn't even know her. She came over to me, and I was, by that time too, I had called 911, and they was asking me, it was like,
I would love to see all the fathers, if there's any fathers out here and you dare taking care and providing and you love your kids and you don't want this to go, you don't want to go through what I went through, and you know someone that went through this, you must stand and come out somewhere and show your face. Your kids are watching you. They learn from your behavior.
Shooting that happened over Memorial Day holiday weekend, shocking South Florida and parts of the country as well, as that news continues to make national headlines.
We begin our team coverage with NBC6's Julie Leonardi, who is at the scene with the latest on the search for the gunman. Julie.
Good morning. Now, this is the area, this music venue behind me in this plaza here in Hialeah where that deadly shooting happened. You can see police still on scene this morning. 22 people were shot, 2 of them dead. The search, though, now on for the shooter. Saturday night, the bodies of 2 victims were moved from the crime scene nearly 24 hours after a mass shooting in northwest Miami-Dade.
They took your brother! They took your brother!
A grieving father losing his son and another father nearly losing his daughter.
Words can't explain how I feel right now, man. This is a sad moment.
His daughter, one of 20 victims shot and injured outside the Mula Banquet Hall around 12:30 Sunday morning. Surveillance video from across the street appears to capture the flashes of gunshots and cars speeding from the country club shopping center.
I was playing video games in my room. All of a sudden, I started hearing gunshots. I'm talking about like a lot of gunshots.
It was an album release party for a local rapper, but police say 3 people waited outside in a white Nissan Pathfinder with handguns and semi-automatic rifles who opened fire, possibly shooting about 100 rounds.
This type of gun violence has to stop. Every weekend it's the same thing. This is targeted. This is definitely not random.
Saturday, May 29th, 2021, began like any other Memorial Day weekend in Miami, hot, humid, and filled with events across the city. Mula Banquet Hall, a modest venue tucked away in a commercial strip near Hialeah, had been rented out for what promoters called Mula Fest, featuring multiple local rap artists. The event was heavily promoted on social media, drawing a diverse crowd of music fans from across Miami-Dade County. By 10:30 p.m., the parking lot was packed with cars. Inside, the air conditioning struggled against the heat generated by hundreds of bodies as attendees filtered through security. The venue, with its simple layout and stage at one end, filled quickly. Drinks flowed, music pounded, and the atmosphere was celebratory, Memorial Day weekend, in full swing. Among the performers scheduled that night was a rapper known as Sh00ting, whose affiliation with the Back Blues Gang was well known in certain circles. His presence, along with several other Back Blues associates, had been advertised on flyers and social media. What most attendees didn't realize was that this information had also reached members of the rival Bricks gang, who saw an opportunity for retaliation following Antoine Streeter's death the previous week. Security at the event was minimal, typical for smaller venues in the area. Attendees later reported that while bags were checked at the entrance, the overall security presence was light. By midnight, the main performances had concluded, and patrons began filtering out into the warm night air, congregating in the parking lot. Some lingered by their cars, others chatted in groups, the mood still festive as the night wound down. At approximately 12:30 a.m. on Sunday, May 30th, surveillance cameras captured a white Nissan Pathfinder SUV slowly approaching the venue. The vehicle had been stolen weeks earlier, investigators would later discover. It circled once before parking across the street from the banquet hall's main exit. For approximately 2 minutes, the SUV remained stationary, its occupants watching as concertgoers continued to exit the venue. Then, at 12:33 a.m., the vehicle pulled up directly to the crowd. The doors swung open, and 3 men emerged, their faces concealed by masks. They were dressed in dark clothing, and each carried weapons, a combination of assault rifles and handguns. Without warning or words, they opened fire. The first shots sent people diving for cover, but with hundreds of patrons crowded in the parking lot, there were few places to hide. The gunmen moved methodically, sweeping their weapons across the crowd. They fired indiscriminately, bullets striking both intended targets and bystanders alike. It happened so fast, one survivor later told detectives. 1 second we were talking, the next people were falling all around me. Security footage shows the shooting lasted approximately 45 seconds, less than a minute that forever changed countless lives. The gunman fired with shocking precision, emptying magazine after magazine into the panicking crowd. People scrambled in all directions, some using vehicles as shields, others running toward nearby businesses. Those who couldn't escape lay flat on the ground, praying bullets would pass over them. Witnesses described seeing victims fall in succession. First Desmond Owens near his car, then Clayton Dillard Jr. as he attempted to help a friend to safety. Shaniqua Peterson was struck while running toward the building's entrance, seeking shelter that she would never reach. As suddenly as they had appeared, the gunman retreated to the waiting Nissan Pathfinder. The vehicle sped away, tires screeching against asphalt, leaving behind a scene of carnage and chaos. In total, at least 99 bullets had been fired from 9 different weapons in less than a minute. The first 911 calls came at 12:34 a.m., with dispatchers struggling to make sense of the frantic reports. First responders arrived within minutes to find victims scattered across the parking lot. Some wounded victims had been dragged to safety by friends, others lay where they had fallen. Emergency medical technicians began triage immediately, identifying those most critically injured. By 1 a.m., the parking lot had transformed into a massive crime scene. Police cordoned off several blocks as ambulances rushed the wounded to trauma centers across the county. At Jackson Memorial Hospital, medical staff were alerted to prepare for mass casualties. Surgeons were called in from home as emergency rooms filled with victims, some clinging to life by threads. As dawn broke over Miami, the full scale of the tragedy became clear. 3 dead, over 20 wounded, and a community left to grapple with yet another act of senseless violence. Has your community been affected by gang violence? What measures do you think could help reduce these tragedies? The Mula shooting shows how quickly conflicts can escalate and impact innocent lives. Share your thoughts in the comments below on what communities and law enforcement should prioritize to prevent similar incidents. Your experiences and ideas matter in this important conversation about public safety and violence prevention. Here at Crime Scene Exposed, we dive deep into the most infamous crimes, baffling disappearances, disturbing confessions, and twisted criminal minds from around the world. From high-profile murder trials to cold cases that still haunt investigators, we uncover the truth behind the crimes that shook the world. Whether it's mysterious vanishing acts, serial killers, or shocking courtroom revelations, we bring you detailed investigations, gripping storytelling, and in-depth analysis. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue bringing these important stories to light. As the sun rose over Miami on May 30th, 2021, the Mula Banquet Hall parking lot resembled a war zone. Yellow evidence markers dotted the asphalt, so many that investigators ran out and had to improvise with handwritten notes. Blood stains marked where victims had fallen. Discarded shoes, purses, and personal items remained where they'd been abandoned in panic. Miami-Dade Police Department immediately assembled one of the largest investigative teams in the department's history. Homicide detectives, gang unit specialists, forensic technicians, and intelligence analysts worked around the clock. The FBI and ATF joined the investigation, bringing federal resources and expertise in gang-related violence. "This is all hands on deck," Miami-Dade Police Director Alfredo Ramirez told reporters at a press conference that morning. "We will not rest until we find everyone responsible for this cowardly act." The investigation began with the painstaking process of collecting physical evidence. Technicians recovered 99 shell casings from at least 9 different firearms, a staggering number that indicated multiple shooters and a level of firepower rarely seen even in Miami's violent crime landscape. Ballistics experts worked to match casings to specific weapons, while others collected DNA samples and fingerprints from the scene. Surveillance footage became crucial to the investigation. Cameras from the banquet hall and nearby businesses captured the white Nissan Pathfinder approaching, the 3 gunmen emerging, and the vehicle fleeing afterward. Additional footage showed the SUV in the area hours before the shooting, suggesting the attackers had conducted reconnaissance. 2 days after the shooting, investigators received their first major break. The Nissan Pathfinder was discovered submerged in a canal in the northern part of Miami-Dade County. Dive team members recovered the vehicle, which had been reported stolen weeks earlier. Despite attempts to destroy evidence by sinking the SUV, forensic technicians were able to recover crucial evidence linking it to the crime. Meanwhile, detectives conducted hundreds of interviews with survivors, witnesses, and informants within Miami's gang networks. Many victims were initially reluctant to cooperate, fearing retaliation. However, the scale of the tragedy and community outrage gradually led to people coming forward with information. Social media also provided valuable leads. Investigators discovered posts from gang members before and after the shooting that contained veiled references to the planned attack and subsequent celebrations of its success. Digital forensics specialists tracked cell phone locations, linking several suspects to the area at the time of the shooting. By mid-June, police had identified 5 primary suspects. The first arrest came when Devontae Barnes, 25, was taken into custody. Barnes had served as a lookout, monitoring the venue and alerting the shooters when target individuals were present. His cell phone records placed him at the scene, and text messages revealed his coordination with the gunman. Barnes would eventually be convicted of second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder, receiving a life sentence. The investigation accelerated through July and August as additional suspects were identified and apprehended. Willie Zavon Hill, 27, was arrested and charged not only with the murders, but also with evidence tampering for his role in disposing of the getaway vehicle in the canal. Forensic evidence linked him directly to the Pathfinder, and witness testimony placed him among the shooters. Alan Gregory Chambers Jr., 30, was apprehended next, followed by Eugene Anthony Holmes, 22, and Jackery Brian Green, 30. Each was charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 20 counts of attempted murder, and conspiracy to commit murder. Cell phone records, witness identifications, and forensic evidence connected all 4 men to the planning and execution of the attack. Prosecutors revealed that the investigation had uncovered extensive planning. The suspects had conducted surveillance of the venue, knowing that members of the rival Back Blues gang would be present for the performance. The attack was meticulously coordinated with assigned roles for each participant and a planned escape route. This wasn't a spontaneous act of violence, State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle explained at a press conference announcing the charges. This was a calculated assassination attempt that showed complete disregard for human life. As the case moved toward trial, investigators continued pursuing additional accomplices, determined to hold accountable everyone involved in one of Miami's deadliest mass shootings. Behind every statistic in this tragedy were real people with families, dreams, and futures suddenly cut short. 3 lives were permanently extinguished that night, while many others were forever altered. Desmond Owens was just 26 years old when bullets claimed his life outside Mula Banquet Hall. Friends described him as ambitious and deeply connected to his Miami community. With an infectious laugh and entrepreneurial spirit, Desmond had been building his own path. He was known for his loyalty to friends and family, always showing up when needed. His mother collapsed at the crime scene tape when she learned of his death, a moment that haunted first responders. "He was my only son," she told reporters through tears. He had so much ahead of him. Clayton Dillard Jr., also 26, shared similar dreams of success. Growing up in Miami's challenging neighborhoods, Clayton had navigated obstacles with determination. His father, Clayton Dillard Jr., arrived at the crime scene the morning after the shooting, breaking through police tape in anguish, calling out his son's name. The elder Dillard later became an outspoken advocate against gun violence, channeling his grief into action. "My son wasn't just a victim," he said at a community meeting. "He was someone who mattered, who had plans, who deserved to live." At 32, Shaniqua Lekel Peterson was the oldest of the 3 killed. A mother whose children now face life without her guidance, Shaniqua had attended the concert with friends for a rare night out. Described by family as the glue that held everyone together, she worked multiple jobs to provide for her family while pursuing her own educational goals. Her sister later revealed that Shaniqua had recently been accepted into a nursing program, a dream she had worked toward for years. She was finally seeing her hard work pay off, her sister explained. Then someone took everything from her, from us, in seconds. The wounded survivors carry both physical and emotional scars. Angelica Green received the call no parent ever wants. Her 24-year-old son on the other end, his voice shaking as he told her he'd been shot in the stomach. "He called us frantic, telling us he had been shot, that it hurts," Green recounted to reporters outside Jackson Memorial Hospital. As surgeons worked to save him, she waited, praying. He was saying, "Mom, I love you," she remembered. Her son survived but faces a long recovery and lasting trauma. Chad Harris paced outside the emergency room while his 19-year-old daughter underwent surgery for multiple gunshot wounds. A college student with plans to become a physical therapist, she had gone to the concert with friends. "She's strong," Harris told local news, his voice breaking. But no one should have to be this strong at 19. His daughter survived but required multiple surgeries and extensive physical therapy. Other survivors include a 23-year-old woman shot in both legs who dragged herself to safety behind a car, a 31-year-old man who shielded his girlfriend with his body, taking bullets in his back, and a group of friends who carried their wounded companion nearly a block to flag down help. For every person killed or wounded, dozens more, parents, children, partners, friends, had their lives irrevocably changed. The ripple effects of those 99 bullets continue to spread through families and across Miami, creating wounds that statistics can never fully capture and time may never completely heal.
28-year-old Willie Savon Hill was previously in federal prison serving time for a gun-related charge. The shooting left 20 people injured and 3 people dead, including 26-year-old Clayton Dillard Jr, who you saw in a photo there. His father went back to the scene today, holding photos of his son with the words "Sleep in Heaven." He had this message for other fathers.
I would love to see all the fathers, If it's any fathers out here and you dare taking care and providing and you love your kids and you don't want this to go, you don't want to go through what I went through, and you know someone that went through this, you must stand and come out somewhere and show your face. Your kids are watching you. They learn from your behavior.
Just kept thinking about my family.
Khadidra Thomas is one of the 21 wounded survivors.
It really felt like I was in a movie. And see them people dropping like that? It was females, people like me that had nothing to do with it. And if you go shooting a whole crowd of people, that's wicked.
Released from the hospital Monday, she's now recovering from several gunshot wounds.
It's 3 in the back.
Police say it was a targeted attack. Thomas can't believe anyone would risk the lives of innocent people to try to settle a score.
And you know what's so crazy? Because I want to be mad at them, right? I honestly pray for them people. For you to sit there and you shoot up a whole crowd like that, you lost. Your soul, you is lost. You need God more than I do.
She's the same age as the men who didn't survive the shooting, all of them targeted by a trio who took just 10 seconds to shatter dozens of lives.
Anybody that know me, I always tell them that I'm God's favorite. Trust me, miss, I know I'm blessed.
The legal aftermath of the Mula Banquet Hall shooting unfolded across multiple courtrooms, with prosecutors determined to secure justice for the victims and send a message about gang violence in Miami-Dade County. In September 2021, the Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office formally filed charges against the 5 defendants. Each faced a staggering array of counts that reflected the magnitude of the crime. 3 counts of first-degree murder for the deaths of Desmond Owens, Clayton Dillard Jr., and Shaniqua Lekel Peterson, 20 counts of attempted first-degree murder for each wounded survivor, and conspiracy to commit murder. The charging documents detailed how prosecutors viewed the shooting as a premeditated act of gang retaliation. This was not a random act of violence, State Attorney Catherine Fernandez Rundle stated during the announcement. This was a coordinated attack meant to exact revenge and assert dominance in an ongoing gang war. Willie Zavon Hill faced an additional charge of tampering with evidence for his role in disposing of the white Nissan Pathfinder in a canal. According to prosecutors, Hill had personally driven the vehicle to a remote location and pushed it into the water in an attempt to destroy forensic evidence. This additional charge carried a potential 5-year sentence on top of the murder charges. The first defendant to face trial was Devontae Barnes, whose role as lookout made him legally culpable under Florida's law of principles, which holds accomplices responsible even if they didn't personally pull a trigger. During his trial in early 2022, prosecutors presented text messages showing Barnes coordinating with the shooters, informing them when target individuals arrived at the venue. Barnes' defense team argued he was merely present at the scene and had no knowledge of the planned shooting. However, cell phone records and witness testimony contradicted this claim. After a 3-week trial, the jury found Barnes guilty of second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. The judge, citing the calculated nature of the crime and Barnes' essential role in facilitating it, sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The remaining defendants, Hill, Chambers, Holmes, and Green, initially pleaded not guilty to all charges. Their defense attorneys filed numerous motions challenging the evidence, particularly the admissibility of cell phone records and social media posts that prosecutors claimed linked them to the crime and established motive. As the cases progressed through pre-trial hearings, prosecutors revealed additional evidence, including recorded jail phone calls in which some defendants made incriminating statements. These revelations led to plea negotiations for some defendants. Eugene Holmes became the first to accept a plea deal, agreeing to testify against his co-defendants in exchange for a reduced sentence of 30 years. His testimony provided crucial details about the planning of the attack and each participant's role. The trials of Hill, Chambers, and Green were scheduled consecutively to allow prosecutors to build on evidence and testimony from each proceeding. The prosecution team, led by veteran homicide attorneys, presented a methodical case that combined technical evidence, ballistics, DNA, cell phone data, with emotional testimony from survivors and victims' families. As the legal process continues, prosecutors have maintained that the Mula Banquet Hall case represents a watershed moment in Miami's approach to gang violence, demonstrating that mass shootings will be prosecuted with the full force of the law, regardless of whether the victims were targeted or innocent bystanders.
There was family there of the victims, the defendant's family as well. Now, Barnes was convicted on 23 out of 24 charges, including second-degree murder and attempted second-degree murder. This is all from the mass shooting at El Mula, a nightclub in Miami Gardens. It happened in May of 2021. 3 people were killed, 20 injured. Now, during the trial, prosecutors said the 23-year-old acted as a lookout and helped plan the mass shooting at El Mula Banquet Hall. This allegedly aiming for a single target, but Barnes' defense team claimed that their client never fully understood what was happening that night. Today, before his sentencing, we did hear from several victim family members. Take a listen.
From me, from many people, I had nothing. I was born and brought up in this system, here in this county, Dade County, as a baby. And I can tell you one thing. The system works. It's going to work for you. If it don't, you know what happens. But I'm going to tell you this. My baby, my son, who raised to love, give, protect, don't follow, lead, become a man. Figure out his purpose. No one ever told me my purpose. But I realized once I got these gifts of change, as being an orphan, 38 foster homes, you took something that kept me silent. Silent. 600 people you hurt from wanting mine. They're in jail, walking the street. You took their nephew. You took my grandson, father away from him. You hear me? My grandson. I have nothing. No mama, nothing. An orphan, born in this world, in this county, man. You could have just called back 911. That's all. You call them 911, man. You didn't even have to go there. Just turn around. My son would have been here. And your life wouldn't have been passing by me. Now you got to see me for the rest of you. It's not, I pray that you feel what my son, it's not about me. It's about my son, this young woman you took, and Desmond, Owen, Clayton Dillard, and this young woman you harmed 20-something kids. Kids! Black kids! What is wrong with you, man? You harmed. You're gonna pay for this. You must burn. You hear me? And the county will see this. And they waiting for whatever reaction happened here. They trying to follow the law of the land. You hear me? We trying to be obedient. But it can't work all the time. It worked today though. It worked today. I get to see someone that killed my son. You killed them. You killed them all. And hurt all of them. You, a domino. You the mastermind of all. You called. If you wouldn't have called, it wouldn't have happened. This ain't no joke, man. This ain't no... You're gonna burn. And I thank God that the system worked for me. You hear me? I thank God the system works, dog. So if I know it worked for me, and I'm legal, it's gonna tear your ass up. Inside out. And I pray every day to your God and all the other gods that you, your family, die in your feces. Throw up. You must burn. There's no favor.
I have to object to this.
I pray for this. You must burn, man.
And we also heard from Barnes himself before he was sentenced. After the victim impact statements, he basically directed himself at the family and said he was sorry what happened to their kids and family members. Again, sentenced to life in prison.
The Mula Banquet Hall shooting forced Miami-Dade County to confront the reality of gun violence with renewed urgency and comprehensive strategies. The county's Gun Violence Reduction Initiative, which had been operating since 2016, received expanded funding and resources in the wake of the tragedy. This program takes a multifaceted approach, embedding prosecutors directly in high-risk neighborhoods to work alongside law enforcement, resulting in over 100 arrests of high-risk offenders and the removal of more than 700 illegal firearms from Miami streets. What distinguishes effective violence prevention from temporary security measures is sustained community engagement. In neighborhoods most affected by gang activity, community leaders have established trust-building programs between residents and law enforcement. These initiatives encourage reporting of illegal weapons and suspicious activity without fear of retaliation. Victim advocates now provide immediate support, relocation assistance, and counseling to witnesses, addressing the no-snitching culture that previously hampered investigations. Experts emphasize that addressing root causes remains essential for long-term prevention. Gang violence flourishes where economic opportunity is scarce. Following the Mula shooting, Miami-Dade expanded youth employment programs and educational initiatives targeting at-risk individuals. Community centers extended their hours to provide safe spaces during peak violence periods, and mentorship programs connected young people with positive role models outside gang influence. The tragedy also highlighted the need for stricter gun regulations and accountability. Florida's relatively permissive gun laws make it challenging to keep weapons out of dangerous hands. Advocacy groups have pushed for enhanced background checks, restrictions on high-capacity magazines, and stronger penalties for straw purchasers who buy guns legally only to transfer them to prohibited individuals. Data-driven approaches have proven crucial in targeting resources effectively. By analyzing shooting patterns, law enforcement can now deploy resources proactively rather than reactively. This strategic shift has shown promising results in reducing retaliatory violence in areas previously caught in cycles of gang conflict. The most effective prevention strategies combine immediate intervention with long-term investment in communities, addressing not just the symptoms of violence, but its underlying causes. What do you think communities and law enforcement should prioritize to prevent mass shootings like the Mula tragedy? Is it better mental health resources, stricter gun laws, more community policing, or economic development in affected neighborhoods? Your perspectives matter in this crucial conversation. If this investigation into one of Miami's deadliest mass shootings has provided valuable insights, please support Crime Scene Exposed by subscribing and activating the notification bell. Your engagement helps us continue bringing these important stories to light. Next week, we'll examine another case where gang violence spilled into public spaces, the 2019 Brownsville shooting that wounded 12 people at a community festival. We'll analyze how that community's response differed from Miami's and what lessons can be learned from both tragedies. Desmond Owens, Clayton Dillard Jr, and Shaniqua Lekel Peterson were more than victims of violence. They were sons, daughters, friends, and in Shaniqua's case, a mother whose children now face life without her. Their futures, filled with potential and promise, were erased in 45 seconds of senseless violence. Their memories now fuel crucial work across Miami-Dade County. From policy changes and enhanced enforcement to community healing and youth intervention programs, their tragic deaths have catalyzed action that may save countless lives. Perhaps the most powerful response to the Mula tragedy has been the resilience of a community that refused to surrender to fear. As one survivor put it, they wanted to terrorize us, to make us afraid to gather, to celebrate, to live. But Miami is stronger than their bullets. We mourn, we heal, and we stand together, not just against violence, but for the community we deserve.